Hello, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. We've had some technical difficulties this morning, but we're going to attempt to get this done. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning, Jim.
Well, sometimes these computers just don't work the way they're supposed to. You know how that goes. But like you said the other day, you don't know anything about computers.
No.
But you had a winner last night in football, and you're sitting on the Cardinals. You won that with the National League, and it looks like the Astros will close that off. You expect they'll close that off against the Yankees and move on. And we got a big football card this weekend, college and pro. Anything that looks really exciting to you?
Well, on the college schedule, there really isn't. There's a lot of games that NC State, Boston College, big competitive game, but there's a lot of big spreads. And Oregon, Washington is a pretty good game. Florida, South Carolina might be a good game. And outside of that, there's nothing all that exciting as far as matchups go. The NFL has a very competitive schedule this week. If the Giants beat Arizona, they're only going to be one game behind in their division. And they're getting Barkley back, and they're getting Ingram back, and that's going to be good for Jones. And Arizona traveling east with a defense that gave up 56 points its last two games against two not-so-good teams. Although I guess one of them was Atlanta, and they're capable of scoring. Houston and Indianapolis is a big matchup, tough game, an important game. Minnesota-Detroit is another one. And the Seattle-Baltimore game and New Orleans-Chicago, I think the first team to score in that game will probably win it. Philadelphia-Dallas, two games that are very banged up. I've been in touch with both teams. Dallas has about 8 starters not playing this week.
Wow.
The two offensive tackles, 2 wide receivers, Cobb and Cooper. They also are missing starting cornerbacks and 2 top from their front 7. They're a mess. Philadelphia, meanwhile, is getting 2, maybe 3 of their secondary guys back. And so they may have an edge in this game as far as injuries go. And then there's New England and the Jets.
New England and the Jets, Monday night, 10-point, 9.5, 10-point favorite. Jets looked good last week.
Settled in on 9.5. And the Jets, looking at that game, the Jets are very much one-dimensional. They have one good guy, Anderson, who's a good deep threat, and they have the quarterback healthy right now, and he had a big game last week against Dallas, but that's it. They don't run the ball well. They average 3 yards per carry rushing. Belichick has 10 days to prepare for a one-dimensional offense, and he's pretty tough when that happens.
He's pretty tough. He's pretty tough all the time.
Yeah, but when he goes against a single-dimensional team and against a young quarterback, and he has to. They played him once already this year before that quarterback was healthy, and they didn't give up an offensive score in that game. But of course, the Jets weren't healthy at all. But Brady will do just enough in that game, and he doesn't have to do that much because there's a good chance that New England will shut them out.
Yeah, their defense has been really extremely good this year. They've shut down most people. And
the McCourty in the secondary, there's not much that the Jets are going to be able to do against that.
Now, the big news off of last night's game, Patrick Mahomes got hurt, and we have no idea how long that's going to keep him out. That's a major blow to that team. I know Matt Moore can play, but he's no Patrick Mahomes.
No, he's not. Now, fortunately for them, they've got a significant lead in that division, but they've got two tough games coming up, one against Green Bay and one against Minnesota, both games at home, but I don't think that's going to help them all that much. Moore is experienced. He took the Dolphins into the playoffs when he was back up there, and they actually won a playoff game. But he's been around. But what surprised me last night against Denver was the play of their defense. They had 9 sacks in the game.
Yeah, they did.
But they're not going to be a match for those two teams. But they have to hope that they can get their guy back, maybe in 4 weeks. And they'd still have enough of an edge to be able to go on and win that division because I can't see the Chargers, although the Chargers are getting their left tackle back this week. Denver is no good, and there just isn't any competition in that division.
No, unless it comes from the Raiders, which is a shock to me. I never expected them to be this good.
Yeah, that's true. The Raiders are probably the only competition for them, and they've got a tough game this week at Green Bay, and they have some weaknesses on that team that can be exploited, and I think their schedule is not that easy.
Since Drew Brees went out, Bridgewater has won every start, and their defense has been playing incredible. Now they're going to go up against the Chicago Bears, which has a heck of a pass rush. Khalil Mack, of course, is the leader of that gang. They're getting Trubisky back, but I mean he's not that great, but he is their starter for whatever that's worth. But the issue I see with the Saints is Alvin Kamara. What do you think? You think you might hit the field this week?
No, and I don't think they want to play him anyway. He's got 2 injuries, the ankle and the knee both, and he's not ready to play. He hasn't been practicing, and he won't play, and he's their best offensive weapon right now. And without him, they're not going to be able to do anything offensively against the Bears. I think Trubisky gives them their one shot, and that is his ability to turn the ball over. and against that defense, that could happen. They could score defensively, but I think that their defense is going to probably shut them down. And by the way, they have an advantage in their kicking game because the Bears have problems with the kicking, with field goals, and that also gives them an opportunity. So I like the under a lot in that game. Nobody's going to be doing much scoring.
Hank, what do you think of the trade that the Rams made for Ramsey?
I think it was a good trade for both sides. I think the Rams wind up with they needed help at cornerback because Peters wasn't playing very well, and their other guy is out. So they needed help. They needed to solidify their secondary, and they've done so. And he's in there. He started practice right away. He'll play this week. And he solidifies their defense, which they needed badly. And Jacksonville gets draft picks. And you may not believe in draft picks, but they need help in their offensive line. And they're loaded with draft picks. And I think, they had to get rid of this guy. He was not happy. And so they came out with the Rams paid a high price. Now where the Rams are going to be in trouble is when they have to pay this guy, and because they've got a lot of high salaries on that team, starting with the quarterback, who right now looks like he's overpaid, and the running back who's never healthy, And they next year. So the Rams, by getting Ramsey, are throwing in their cards for this year because they are going to have to start breaking up that team and getting rid of some salaries.
Yeah, they got 5 major salaries on that team. It's going to decimate other areas, and their offense just doesn't look that good right now. It's certainly not.
Well, Goff has been terrible.
Yeah.
He didn't have 100 yards passing last week, but this week they play Atlanta, who has no defense. So Goff may bounce back this week and have a decent game, which helps them.
Yeah, and San Francisco's on the East Coast as well. They're playing Washington. And it's funny, all the West Coast teams are East this week. Chargers are also on the East Coast playing. So it's going to be a very interesting week. One game, the last 2 teams that played and beat Kansas City are playing each other, Houston and the Colts. And, we know we have a big edge at quarterback with Houston, because Watson is pretty terrific. But Brissett's played well, and they have a good offensive line. And they got Mack at running back, and he's been very, very strong. And they got a good head coach as well. That game is sitting at Pick'em or 1, Indianapolis. It could go to Houston, the favorite, with that kind of a number, depending on where the money comes in the last couple days. That looks like a pretty rough match, and that's a division game. It's very important to both teams.
Yeah, well, the way the quarterback has been playing for Houston, he's really hot right now, and he's got guys he can throw the ball to. They've got a good running game, and their defense is pretty strong. Their defense has actually been giving up a lot of rushing yardage. It's a tough game to pick right now, and it's probably a nice game to watch.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Well, Hank, anything else you want to cover before we sign off for the week?
Not really. It's a good schedule in the NFL, and I think, but there's some real playable games. Minnesota, I would just tell you one thing about Minnesota. They put in a new offense this year, and it took a few weeks for them to get adjusted to it. In the last 2 weeks, though, they've thrown for over 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, and only one interception. And really, it all starts with the running game. And Dalvin Cook, and then they also have been moving the pocket for Cousins, and it's really worked for him. And Cook is going against a defense this week that has a lot of trouble stopping the run. They got smoked in their run defense last week against Green Bay, and so Cook is the key. And if he can run the ball, that really helps Cousins. But that's what's happened. And they had 937 yards in total offense the last 2 games with this new offense that took about a month before it set in with their team. And Diggs and Thielen are a big threat. So Minnesota right now with their defense, by the way, their defense has only given up 1 rushing TD this year. They may be getting cooking right now.
They are looking strong, that's for sure. And at the moment, they look like the strongest team in that division. It's going to be a great card this weekend. Great football. Baseball is very exciting as well. Hank, good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you again Monday.
Okay, Jim. Have a good day and good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
And don't forget, when you go to the website, jimfeist.com, you can register for a free play each and every day. Just go to jimfeist.com for Hank's plays and mine. Thank you.